€200 isn't growing on trees, so you want to avoid giving that money to DECRA, alright? 1 month exactly, give or take, that I got my driving license, I got a parking fine. Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing great. Welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell from the title of this video, this is going to be the second part series to driving in Germany. And the very first video I did was of course the theoretical aspects of driving in Germany, as well as providing you tips on how you go about passing the exam or the theory exam in just one sitting. I will link the video somewhere up on the screen, and I will leave the thumbnail here as well so you could quickly recognize what video I'm talking about. It's actually been about 4 to 5 months since I got my driving license, and when I finally got my driving license I was super excited because it's like gave me that new type of freedom, that new type of independence. The song from Tiny Temper, Pass Out, just like spoke to me, and I was like, wow Tiva, you've been trying to do this for such a long time. That part of the song that goes, that part of that song literally spoke to me. I said to myself, you know what Tiva, you are going to play that song all the time when you get your driving license. Yeah, ever since I got my driving license, I've been able to like drive to places officially with my driving license, and it's felt so good. The independence, the freedom, doing 120, 130 kilometers per hour. I'm sure some of you might think, well, 120 kilometers, like the minimum on the Autobahn is nothing, because well, people do 200, 220, 240 sometimes if their cars actually permit it. But anyway, 120, 130, 140 is like a big thing for me. Once you've passed your driving theory exam, you will contact your driving school to inform them of what the next step will be. If you still have driving lessons or driving practical lessons that still needs to be taken, you will have to complete all your hours for driving before you can go on to the practical exam. And if you've done all of that, then your school will inform you as to when you could actually go ahead to have the practical exam. Your driving school will have to contact DECRA to inform them that you're ready to take your practical exam. And basically DECRA is a European vehicle inspection company founded in Berlin, Germany. DECRA stands for Deutsche Kraftfahrzeug Überwachungsverein, and that translated in English is German Motor Vehicle Inspection Association. DECRA will be the one to decide when you will have your practical exam. Literally just depends on them as to when they could send someone out to examine your abilities to drive. On the day of the exam, you will need to provide an ID card or an international passport that states that you are who you say you are, because of course the examiner will not know you, and they will certify that you are the one doing the practical exam. And of course you would need to tender the document that was provided to you soon after you passed your theory test, and I think some other documents are provided, but you would have to collect them from your driving instructor. But that being said, so I'm going to go ahead with the tips for passing your driving test in just one go, and not be like me that failed the first time, because failing the first time is actually really painful, and it's so expensive, and you're literally spending €200 each time you fail the test. And to be honest, €200 isn't growing on trees, so you want to avoid giving that money to DECRA, alright? So the very first tip is to keep both your hands on the steering wheel, and it's ideally better if you have it at 2:45. I will insert an image somewhere here. It's literally better, and you just make sure that you do have your thumbs hooked to the steering wheel so that you're driving straight enough. The second tip is to keep to the right as often as possible, because of course the left lane is for overtaking only, and most people do of course speed on the left lane to overtake, and it's just better for you to stay on the right lane where you can do the city limits, which is 50 unless otherwise stated as 30. Of course, you should already know that the center lane or the left lanes on the autobahns are for overtaking only. The third point is to do with one-way streets. If you're on a one-way street and you're wanting to turn left, you make sure that you are on the left side of the street. And if you're wanting to turn right, you make sure that you're on the right side of the street and you're not obstructing traffic. You're not allowed to stay on the middle part of the lane if you're wanting to turn left, because you will be obstructing traffic wanting to turn to the right. Driving instructors are usually very strict when it comes to that. Do not stay on the middle part of the lane. If you want to turn left, stay on the far left on the one-way street, and if you want to turn right, stay on the far right on the one-way street, not in the middle part of the lane. So tip number 4 is you should always keep cyclists in your mind, because they could literally show up from nowhere. I did mention something about this in my other video, and if you're looking at turning right at a traffic light, please do go ahead and do this 90 degrees shoulder blink to make sure that the path is clear, because cyclists do have priorities. So you don't want to like turn right and in the last minute realize that there's a cyclist there, and before you know it, it's already too late and you've already hit the cyclists. They do have priority, so watch out for them. You should know that walking pace is really slow, so you're literally doing less than 7 kilometers per hour, and you should be on the first gear and just let the car roll. This is especially important when you're in shopping malls, when you're about reversing or just driving in general, like in the shopping mall area. And it's absolutely important when you get to traffic count zones that you do less than 7 kilometers per hour, because these count zones are usually areas where children can just run up on the streets without any warning, and bam, you're in trouble if you hit anyone's child. It's also absolutely important to drive at less than 7 kilometers per hour, especially when you come upon a bus that's got hazard lights on at a bus stop, because if passengers are getting off of the bus wanting to cross the road from the front of the bus, you can't see them, because of course it's a blind spot, and you've got to be slow enough for you to brake immediately should you see anyone crossing over, if that makes sense. The general speed limit within a city is 50 kilometers per hour unless otherwise stated. There might be places within certain areas in a city that only permits you to do 30 kilometers per hour, so keep note of that. Alright, of course you're allowed to do 50 kilometers per hour if you're on the priority road with the yellow diamond. You're also allowed to do 50 kilometers per hour when you're on tram tracks on the road or on multi-lane roads. So if there isn't any other information aside from what I've just mentioned, then it's usually 50 kilometers per hour. But if it's otherwise, it should be stated, and it's usually like 30 kilometers per hour. You should just watch out for the signs. Right. Tip number 7, turning right on red with a green arrow and a stop sign. Green arrow that is literally drawn on it, not the electric ones. When you get to signs like this, you should make sure that you absolutely come to a full brake with the car, because if you don't, then you've totally failed the exam. You've got to come to a stop at the stop line and you're allowed to proceed. And of course, before proceeding finally, you've got to make sure that there are no cars coming from the left, because of course they do have priority. So tip number 8, who's got priority on the roads and what objects can tell you who's got priority. Traffic lights and signs tell you who has right of the way. At junctions without a light or sign, you should always make sure that you're yielding to the right, and yielding to the right means in German rechts for links. So you've got to make sure that there are no cars coming from your right for you to continue driving straight ahead, because the cars from the right do have priority when you are at junctions. And when you're on junctions like this, you should also make sure that you're on gear 2 or the second gear for you to keep on driving on this road, so you can of course brake as quickly as possible should any car just show up randomly. If traffic lights are out of order, should I say, or not switched on at a particular time, you should continue your journey as usual, but make sure that you obey any priority signs, rules and regulations on the road. When you're done with the test, make sure that you turn off everything that you've used, the headlights, the indicators, the screen wipers, anything, because, well, you're going to switch off the car very soon. Just make sure you turn everything off and then go back to the first gear and pull up the handbrake. Then you want to switch off the engine and remove the key. Then you engage the steering column lock. Alright, I hope this video has been helpful to you all.